Hey y'all, welcome to Two Sides Same Couch, a podcast where two best friends dig into the conversations that most people avoid. From identity to intimacy, insecurities to growth, we sit on opposite sides but show up with the same intention: honesty, curiosity, and connection. This is a space for people in the thick of figuring life out. Through raw stories and real talk, we explore the messy middle and make room for growth, healing, and perspective. I'm Maggie Murphy.
And I'm Myron Mullen.
And today, we are talking about the gender roles debate.
Dun, dun, dun.
It'll be an interesting one, y'all. Buckle up. And the reason for this topic is because I have a lot of questions.
Do you now?
I do. I obviously, like I've talked about, I don't even know if I would consider myself in the dating world. I'm single.
If you're on the apps, then
I'm not on the apps.
Oh, excuse me.
But I've gone on dates. I'm single, dating. If dates come my way. So I guess, yeah.
Come your way, all right.
And I think through that process, I have a lot of questions. So that's why we're going to talk about this. So, Mullen, should women ask men out? And this means like, well, me and you already had this discussion. Asking them out means like showing interest, asking on a date, all that. And why or why not?
I think the bigger question is, can they? Because you ask most women, I don't know if they even want to do that.
There's a mixed bag. I think there's a lot of narratives. There's like, no, do not do that.
Yeah.
That's something I hear often. Like, men should show interest in you. You should allow them to take that initiative and lead in that way. And then there's other narratives that are like, shoot your shot, go for what you want. So yeah. Which one is it?
Well, I mean, again, like you said, it's a mixed bag, and you're going to have women who are going to be more comfortable, asking a guy out than other. There are going to be plenty of women who are like, heck no. And and maybe it's they have more traditional values, or they just they know how they've acted towards men who've asked them out, and they don't want to feel that same pressure themselves. And I can't blame them, because it's hard out here in these streets. But yeah, I guess that's one of those things where it's really just going to depend on your level of comfort. Okay, asking you clearly, like, if there was a guy that you saw and you like, oh, I really like this guy, but maybe the hints that you're giving, he wasn't quite picking up on. Would you ask him out?
No. Okay, and I'm in the same camp of like, it depends, do what you're comfortable with. If I had a friend come to me and they were like, I really think this guy's really cute, I really want to like do something, I'd be like, go for it, girl, shoot your shot. I would.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to me and myself, I think there's ways in which I would feel comfortable like shooting my shot. I think it would look different potentially than how I see dudes shoot their shot a lot of the time. So I think it would look more like true to me.
Yeah.
But I'd be okay with like suggesting. I don't think I would feel like I would want to like full blown shoot my shot.
Hey, can I take you out the
No, I don't want to do that. Also, like, I do think that comes from inside of me. I mean, what do you think about this? Because I've heard a lot this narrative of like, well, men are like, what, hunters or whatever?
Oh, hunter-gatherers. Yeah.
And they need to be the one that kind of pursues. And so for me, I don't know if I want to take on that role. And I also think for me, I don't want to be with someone who doesn't really want to be with me. And I think if the person is pursuing me,
then you know that.
Then I know that for certain, especially when it comes for a dude. So that's why.
All right, that's perfectly fine.
But is that true? That men need to pursue? That's like part of their nature, and that should be like.
I mean, that's going to depend entirely on the man. I think by and large, most men typically feel that way to certain degrees. I mean, I think I don't know. Again, it's one of those things where it's a mixed bag. You gotta, and especially generationally, it's the habits of like millennials to Gen Z differ so vastly from like previous generations. So like you're probably seeing a lot of younger guys who are who'd probably even prefer women doing the asking. And a lot of that's going to stem from just modern day culture. Like you have just the way like younger people, men and women, interact with each other. The effects of like, I guess you call it like a gym creep culture.
Yeah.
Men are afraid of even looking like a creep. So they won't
do anything.
They won't engage at all. Even to like, the thing is like, you talk a lot about giving the smile or like giving that hint. Guys are afraid of getting the hint wrong.
Oh, you gotta be really obvious with the hint.
You gotta be super obvious.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, and like I said, younger generations, you have to be very obvious with the hint because younger generations have lost those skills of, being able to discern like, oh, is she actually showing interest or not? Or even if it's a little interest shown, like having the confidence to be like, okay, well, if she wasn't showing interest, then hey, that's fine. Yeah,
I feel bad for guys because of that. Like it feels like it would be really confusing and almost like scary because you could, offend someone or there's just a lot of risk. And so I feel bad. So I really think like women, or at least how I want to carry myself. It's like, I want to help y'all out, like I want to do, right. I want to do and even you saying that, like be very, very obvious with the hint or the suggestion so that it's a lot easier for guys to take the risk because I do see that that's really scary, especially in our culture. It was scary before, but I feel like it's even worse.
It's like, because we're in the age where you're trying to, just politely shoot your shot and then all of a sudden you're blasted on the internet for being a creep. And it's like, dang. Like,
that's so sad.
And you're going viral. It's like, yo, I'm just a regular guy just trying to shoot my shot. But okay, now I'm, persona non grata out here. But yeah.
What about you? You want someone to shoot their shot?
I wouldn't mind it. Like, I guess it depends on what it looks like. I wouldn't find it like demasculating or anything like that. Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Okay. You heard it here, ladies. Shifting a little bit. Do you believe the person who asked for the date should pay?
Yes.
Okay. So then is the man should always pay still relevant or outdated?
Is it still relevant? I mean, shoot, in this economy, maybe not so much, but I think it depends on like, if it's like first, second date, then yeah. By the time you get to third date, then we're talking about like.
Even if someone asks you?
Well, if you're at third date, it's not just, oh, I'm the one doing the asking. Wait.
So like if a girl asked you out on a date and you went with her, you said yes. Because you said you'd be cool with someone shooting their shot.
Yeah.
Would your expectation is that she's paying? Or would you like offer to pay? What would you do?
I would probably offer to pay.
Even though you just said you believe the person who asked for the date should pay.
No, well, okay. I'm saying that from the sense of if there's an obligation, it should fall on the person who did the asking. Not saying that the other person can't offer. Actually, okay, maybe I'm changing my mind. I'm going to change my mind. Because I know even off the first date, you'll do like the polite, but like, like just cut that altogether. Whoever asks should just pay.
So you're saying that if you went on a date and like someone asked you, you wouldn't offer, you wouldn't pay. You would just let them pay. I'm not judging you. I just want to get clarification.
Oh man, now we're testing the quality out.
We're really writing it out.
I would
painting the picture. I personally feel like you would pay. That's why I'm questioning you.
I would wait. Okay, if a woman asked me out,
if a woman was like, "Hey, you want to go grab coffee?"
I would still offer.
Yes.
Well, I don't really consider it like.
So like dinner. If they're like, "Hey, you want to go grab dinner?" I still think you would offer to pay, even if they asked you.
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah.
Realistically, yeah.
So that's why, is the man should always pay still relevant, or is it outdated? I think for me, my question is, okay, because I'm going to just be real about my personal preferences. I prefer this is like such a weird thing because it doesn't make sense. Like, once again, two sides, same couch. I feel two different ways about this.
Yeah.
I do prefer if the man pays, but asterisk. Are
we talking first date or?
That's the thing. Like, I don't know. And let me fully explain my thought process here. It almost feels a little bit like a gentlemanly thing. And I've explained this to you before. Like, just like kind of holding up out the door. Mm-hmm. Like, those kind of things are also things that I prefer. Mm-hmm. And that also I feel like goes in line with paying, mm-hmm. which I don't know where this came from, but that's just how I feel about it. And culture, socializing, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But so I think, but okay, at the same time, I'm trying to understand why I feel that way. Like, what is the root of it versus just like having this belief that I just have, I want to really understand where it comes from. And then there's also a part of me that it's like, is that unfair? Is that an unfair thing to put on? And then I also feel bad for guys too, because it's like such an investment. And for me personally, I would not want to go out to dinner with someone until later on, once that person knew and I knew that like we actually vibe and we get along. And then I would want someone to like take me out to something that's a little bit more expensive, that would be like a little bit more of an investment money wise, because to me, it feels unfair. Like, we barely know each other and you have to be the one to pay for me. Like, that doesn't make sense in my brain. But at the same time, I feel as though if they didn't pay for me or didn't offer whatever, I'm afraid to admit this, pod people. Like, I feel like it would stand out to me, and I might. I don't know if I would judge them for that. Like, I don't know if it'd be like it would be a red flag. I'd be like, interesting.
It would be a red flag.
So that's why I'm like, this is really hard, because I see both sides.
We're hitting the unconscious biases.
Yeah. So I don't know. Is this also preference here? Just like shooting your shot is a preference, like what you feel comfortable with. Men paying, is that a preference that we all, I think so.
Well, yeah, I think
we all can kind of subscribe to what we want to subscribe to.
Yeah. And I think especially again you're seeing millennials and Gen Z flip the script on what like the standard is. You're seeing a lot more people, going Dutch. And being okay with that, whereas older folks are looking at that like it's crazy.
Yeah. But like you asked me, you said how long? Like, how long is it that I would want the man to pay? And I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that, because I agree. Like, at a certain point, it feels like it just doesn't seem fair. And like I said, I haven't really gotten to that point with someone. I've kind of only gone on first dates. Yeah. So in the recent history, but I don't know how long that would last for. I'm like still figuring that out. It doesn't seem realistic to say that would like be our entire relationship,
Yeah.
So
that's one of those things that is like typically worked out a little bit later, and it's
situational.
It's situational and not even really like spoken out loud, I guess, until it is.
Mm-hmm. So where does this come from? What's it rooted in? Why do women feel this way?
Oh, why do they feel? Well,
or why is it like men always should pay? Like, where's that coming from?
I imagine most of that's culturally. Again, it has to change, because it has to be culturally, because it's, as the culture's changing, it's also changing.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so I guess is it a gender role? And that kind of gets us into this like main topic, why we're talking.
What actually is a gender role? And we actually have ChatGPT to give us this definition. A set of expectations, behaviors, and responsibilities that a society or culture assigns to people based on their perceived gender. Traditional female roles have often included being nurturing, caregiving, managing a household, and prioritizing family. Traditional male roles have often included being the provider, showing strength, avoiding vulnerability, and and taking leadership. Okay, so
how do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that? Well, that's more or less what traditional gender roles have been. I feel like that really hits the nail on the head.
Why is this so sensitive? Because do you remember we literally read introvert, extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
And then you and me were kind of like, oh, I agree with that. Oh, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of were able to like tap in, tap out.
Yeah.
Why is it that like this, like the stakes are like 1,000,000 times higher now? Gender is like a very sensitive topic.
It's especially in modern society. I mean, elections have been won and lost because of this topic.
It can also be, it has been weaponized as well.
Yes, not even very recently, currently. Yeah. Currently it's being weaponized. But do traditional gender roles help clarify expectations, or do they end up limiting individuality in modern relationships?
I mean, I don't even know how to answer this question. Like, clarify expectations. I don't think it should be expectations. I think if it's an expectation, I think that's starting to put people in boxes. And like, I think when you read traditional female roles, I do relate to so many of those things naturally.
Yeah.
Like I am showing up like that naturally, just based on like who I am. But also I think when it's forced, when it's like, no, you are this, you have to act this way, I think that can be super limiting. Or if you're like, well, no, men are usually the ones that should be leaders, then that's like, could potentially like limit my leading capabilities, you know? So I don't even know if I like that question of clarify expectations. Like, what does that even mean?
Well, so I guess, so you think it's ended up limiting individuality?
I think relationships are about balance. And I think you really have to, this reminds me of what Marcy was saying a lot. Like you need to know yourself. You need to know what strengths you bring to the table for who you are naturally, right? And for who like your God-given design is. And you also need to know your weaknesses, like where you struggle, where like someone else could help, you know, bring that balance in your life, right? Yeah. And then you kind of can articulate who you are, who would be a good match for you. And then it's like learning to like coexist with those things.
Yeah.
Now for me, a lot of the way in which I am strong is like traditional female roles. So like the nurturing piece, the caregiving piece. But like I mentioned, there may be some other things that I'm strong in.
Yeah.
And I would assume that a healthy relationship is kind of like a dance where you are making space for your partner to kind of like show up as different situations happen. Or you show up together with said skills and strengths and weaknesses and whatever. But I think if we stay so like boxed in of like, well, this is you as female, you should do X, and this is you as male, you should do Y. I think potentially we could lean more towards one or the other based on our strengths, but I think it can be limiting. And it can also feel, what's a word for like constricting?
Yeah, constrained.
Trapped.
Trapped.
Yeah. It can't feel trapped if it's like, once again, weaponized or used in this way.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think?
I concur.
You concur? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like you said, even in the traditional female roles, there are things that you feel like, okay, I do relate to, you know, most, if not all of those things. But again, we are more than just, you know, the list of things that someone would put on a piece of paper or ChatGPT.
Right.
And we'll have strengths that, you know, your partner might not have. And it's okay to step outside of those things. That doesn't mean you're no longer, you know, feminine, or if a man is weak in another area, that means he's no longer masculine. I think that's the reason for, you know, relationships is to be each other's strengths in those areas that you may be weak. And again, you got to know yourself in so that you can move together in that direction.
I think too, like going back to like the weaponizing thing, and this kind of leads into the next question, but you know, for women, some of these things have been weaponized, like especially managing the household. Like, oh, you're the woman, you should clean and cook or whatever, like things that have been said. But I also think like on the flip side for men, like even that leadership piece can be weaponized. Like you should be leading, you know, women have thrown that back at men. So
I guess, what does leading in a relationship actually mean today? Or I guess more specifically, because that's so open-ended, what do you think leading like that?
No, I'm just trying to,
what do you think leading would look like? What do you envision it look like for your future relationship?
Wow, that's actually I don't know if I've thought too much about that.
Well, you get better.
Yeah, let's think about it now. I mean, so I know what I feel like it looks like for me right now, dating, right? I think leading means
taking initiative
on the movement of the relationship, moving it forward. Reaching out to somebody, planning dates, things like that. I feel like that's what that means in regards to leading. Maybe even initiating conversations, which is interesting because, I'm just reflecting. I feel comfortable initiating conversations. That's an area of leading that I feel comfortable with. The other parts, the initiating dates, that part, I think I would want someone else, the guy, to do that. That. So once again, there's a dance. And like I said, I'm not really sure how long, but that's just how I feel at the initial stages, right? But then in regards to relationship, this is a tough question for me if I'm not gonna lie.
Hey.
Being vulnerable a little bit here, I think that this did not go well in my past relationship. Even on both ends, I think I have a lot of leadership qualities, and I don't think my ex and I were a good match. He wanted to lead all the time. And then I think I wasn't even good at making, I wasn't strong in, well, I don't know. There were a lot of dynamics going on, but honestly, I think this was not done well in my last relationship. So that's why I think this question,
the balance,
I think that's why this question is throwing me a little bit. Because what does it leading in a relationship actually mean today? And I think this is something important to think about, because you need to know what you want. And I do think some things will kind of as you meet someone and you get to know someone, you'll figure things out as you go along. But I think there are potentially some things that you should know going forward and moving into before you get into the relationship. And I think for me, because I do have leadership skills and qualities, and I do enjoy that, I think I have strengths in ways. And being in a relationship where I really didn't have the space to do that, I know that the next relationship that I get into, I want to be able to have a relationship where there is space for me to do that,
right.
But I don't want to do it all the time. Because you get tired. It's, you want somebody else to be able to take charge.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask you the same question right back. What does leading in a relationship actually mean?
What does leadership mean?
A good leader builds others up.
Yeah.
A good leader is a servant leader, is serving others, is continuing to move the team forward, but is really building others up. I think a good leader is you could take that person away and the family, the team, the whatever would still function at a high
level.
Yeah, high level without them being there. So what that means is building up the capacity of everyone on said team.
I like it.
So is that what leading looks like?
Yeah, I mean, in the most practical sense, yes.
So how do you replace that into a relationship?
Into a relationship, yeah, I think a good leader should, if you're talking like a husband, then if you got kids, if you have a wife, then you're building them up, not just financially providing, but also spiritually, emotionally, all of those things are important in making sure that they can thrive and grow, again, not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually, making sure that they can look to you and see that example of I don't know, what a solid foundation looks like, but also know that you can still, I guess managing vulnerability is also a thing. I don't know, it's one of those things I don't really, think about, what does leadership?
Well, another thing too, I think leadership, and especially in relationship terms, a good leader is able to see where people are strong.
Yeah.
And then allow them spaces to
grow.
Yeah. And to show off their strengths as well.
Yeah.
For example, I lead a team. There are areas in the work that we do where someone is so much better at something that I am. So me as the leader, it's not me doing everything and being the one that's in charge of everything, the person in front all the time. Like, that's not what a good leader is. A good leader is like, oh, you're good at this? Okay, cool. You handle that. Like
identifying the team's strengths.
Yes.
So like, if we're talking in a relationship. Yeah. If you're a leader, but you can't identify your partner's strengths, then you're probably not a good leader.
No.
Yeah.
That's just like a dictator or like,
yeah,
ruler, or like I got to do it all or whatever. I don't even know what that is, but whatever that is, that's what that is. It's not leadership.
Okay. Is wanting someone to lead a sign of weakness, or can it actually be about balance?
I think it is about balance. At first, this question, I was like, huh? But now, after this conversation, I'm like, no, it's not weakness. It's not a weakness. It's owning the fact that like, I am not strong in this area. I want someone to be strong in this area. That doesn't mean you just like put your hands up and be like, huh, and like not pursue growth in that area and just almost be complacent. I don't think that's what that means.
That is what that means.
We can't be strong in everything.
Yeah.
And that's a reality. Mm-hmm. So you'd be lying to yourself if you say, oh, I can lead in every single area. No, like there are plenty of areas.
I'm supposed to lead in every single area. Yeah. And there are people who think that.
Yes, which is a problem.
Yeah.
So I think it's about balance. I think it's actually a sign of strength, a sign of a good leader. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit reminded of my parents, like, coming over to this country. My dad started his own business, and, my mom was raising 2 kids, but she also was a part of that business, still handled like the books and all of those things, but still also had to, run a household, cook, make sure that the kids have what they need and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And like my mom had a higher education than my dad did, but she let him lead, and he also let her be strong in the areas that she was strong in, not even just in the home, but also at the business too. Mm-hmm. And like understanding that balance and never feeling like, either one feeling like, oh, well, I'm the one who's in charge and, and I have the final say and that kind of stuff. I mean, granted, there'll be naturally situations where someone's got to make the final say on things. Exactly,
that's the thing. There has to be a team, like just from doing the leadership training that I've done and like just growing in my position. At the end of the day, there's only one person that can be
one COO or CEO.
Exactly, yeah. And if actually they taught us that if there's multiple, then there's like tons of confusion. Yeah, because people are unsure of who the person is that's like leading the charge, right?
Yeah. And
so I think that's where it comes into place, where there's got to be one person that makes the final decision at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. And to be honest, more often than not, it's not going to come to like, oh, well, this person's got to make the final say. More often than not, you're going to have situations where, you're taking other people's input and you're using that to guide to a decision. Mm-hmm. It rarely happens that it's like, oh, it's a contentious thing and like, well, it's got to be one or the other, and both of y'all are on opposite ends. Typically, it's rarely that in life.
Yeah.
And we act as if that's always going to be the case. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that people fear.
Okay, I'm just like thinking a million like this. I think connecting relationships to like teams and leadership and what I've learned is really helpful for me, because I do think I have a lot of like feelings that will come up in this way, just especially being a woman. I think a lot of the times there's this fear that, oh my gosh, like I'm going to have to go with whatever, there might be situations where I might have to just go with whatever my husband says or whatever,
Yeah.
It's all about communication, because you have to be able to like calmly talk about all these things, differences of opinions, whatever. I also think many times this is really helping me connecting the work that I've done as a leader on a team and then now applying it to relationships. Because there are many a times where I might not agree with something. Like let's say my team and I were having a group discussion about maybe how something should be done at work. People are throwing out ideas. I might not agree with something, and I might actually be like, I think there's a better way to go about this. But there are many times the situation calls for, we just need to try that idea to see what happens. Mm-hmm. And either it's going to fail or it's going to succeed. Yeah. And both are going to be a win. Because if it fails, then the people whose idea it was can see like, okay, let's try something else. But at least they feel validated that their idea was able to be executed. No, not like that.
No, so true.
Because if we never tried it, then the person's gonna feel like, well, that, let's say it's me. Maggie as the leader never takes anyone's ideas. She just wants to do it her way all the time.
Yeah.
But then if we actually like try it and it, if it fails, then the person can be like, all right, well, Maggie, the leader allowed this to happen and it didn't go well. So back to the drawing board, whatever. Or the leader can see that their person on their team's idea was amazing, and it worked out so well.
Yeah.
So sometimes, and this can all be applied to a relationship, like you have to be able to like be okay with other people's ideas or going forward with something, even if you might not 100% agree, you might have like apprehensions about it, just to like see and try something different.
Yeah.
We don't know it all,
Yeah. That's very important.
And I think that's part of being a strong leader too.
Definitely. Right.
So I think connecting to this whole gender role thing, what does equality in relationships look like in 2025? Because, as we know, the relationship between men and women, like a lot of the times, I mean, just men and women in society in general, there's a lot of like inequality, right? Mm-hmm. So there's, differences, but what does equality look like in relationships? Does that even exist?
What does equality look like?
Take a stab at that question.
Well, I guess, what does equality look like? Go ahead.
Remember we were kind of talking about how like you and I were having like a little side conversation about how this is a tough topic because women have been oppressed by men. Mm-hmm. So there's this uneven thing that has been very ever present and history is currently still present.
Yeah.
So because of this dynamic, the baseline is not equal. And so then because of that, how do we function in a romantic relationship because of that? There are things that I feel like men can't do because of like the oppression. Like it's not equal. Do you know what I'm saying?
What give
and
me
I
an
don't
example.
know. Maybe you should cut this out or maybe you should keep it in. I don't know.
Give me
but
an example.
This reminds me of the video you were talking to me about the guy who was, his girl was like beating him up or something.
Oh,
and he wasn't doing anything.
Oh, no. Okay. So, all right. So there was a video of a guy, his wife was getting jumped by 5 women and he stepped in and had to fight off the women to, protect his wife. But in the comments of that video, that there were people saying that his wife should leave him because like the type of man that would fight 5 women would probably still beat her.
Yeah. And that's like going off this whole thing of like, well, women can essentially like beat up or put their hands on men, but men can't do that same thing.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And that led to the
other video with the Sha'Carri Richardson incident, where it was she was at an airport with her boyfriend, who's also an Olympic athlete, and they were walking through the airport, and she was just kind of yelling at him at first, like just getting in his face. You could see he's trying to just like walk away and de-escalate, and she starts shoving him and like putting hands on him, and it was the point like people were noticing, and then people called security and they called the police, and like if you'd seen the video. If he had done to her what she did to him, they buried him under the jail,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when she got approached by the police, one of the things that stood out in the video was she was getting mad that she literally said out her mouth, like, you're arresting me, but he's the man.
Yeah.
And he didn't at least as far as we saw in the video, he didn't put hands on her.
Right.
But in her mind, in her mind, it's like, well, I'm the woman. How can y'all be treating me this way and not him? Like,
yeah.
And that goes to the things like, what is actual equality? Like, do we want? Because
this dynamic exists. Like these dynamics exist.
Yeah.
So how do we function? So go ahead, take it away.
Take it away. Well, I mean, it's just like so the terminology benevolent patriarchy comes up when I think about this, and it's like, especially with modern feminism, mm-hmm. and it's gotten to the point where the things that it's touchy topic, because like the things that women are fighting for, and it's fine if they want to fight for those things, but like the more rights you have, the more responsibilities you also have, and you're seeing, especially with a lot of these younger feminists, you're seeing them wanting rights, but also trying to dismiss the responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So again, with like the Sha'Carri Richards thing, first of all, nobody should be putting their hands on anybody.
Yeah.
But to be like, oh, he's the man, he should be getting in trouble instead of the woman, as if women get a pass on domestic abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the exact opposite of equality.
Mm-hmm,
And feminism is the fight for equality for women, but it's been flipped on its head a little bit in recent years. And even like thinking about going back to what you were saying about like the things that you want from a man, and like the opening of the door and the pulling out of chairs, and like even, paying for the first date. Those things are inherently chivalrous.
Mm-hmm.
But chivalry is inherently a result of patriarchy. Mm-hmm. So the more you fight for equality, you're also kind of dismiss. Like,
interesting.
Because you can't. If we're talking about being equal, like if I pull out my chair for you, then you should also pull out your chair for me. Like,
okay, so
like if we're specific, if we're talking real equality, then like those things have to be equal, and
okay. Oh my gosh, that was so good. Okay, so then this leads me to like, equality maybe isn't the goal. And if you think about race relations, like equality is not the goal, it's equity, right? Like it's because of the dynamics that are in place, it's not making sure everyone's equal. Yeah. It's what is equity? Like giving everyone what they need to succeed, opportunity. Yeah. And the playing field is not level. Yeah. So people need different, especially amongst races, different things are needed because the playing level is not even. Yeah. So in regards to this it's similar, like in a sense, right? It's equity because we are not the same. Like I can have a baby, you can't, there are things about us that are not equal. The playing field is not level. And especially because of history, same goes for race, things are not equal. Yeah. So maybe equality is the wrong thing.
Probably.
And I do feel like it's a lot of this has to also come from like honoring differences. And I think that's how we approach it, is honoring each other's differences. Because I think equality is trying to erase the fact that there are differences, right? We're the same, we're equal. But like, that's not really the goal. At least for me, I think people have different goals, but at least for me, the goal is not to erase what makes me unique as a woman or what makes you unique as a male, but like finding ways to just honor the differences and make them work together. Yeah. Not make them.
I mean, in the ideal world, yes.
It's tough though, because like there's this whole thing about this gender war, and it's just, there's a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's probably not as much of a war as it,
it's being blown up to be. Yeah.
Probably. Because I feel like the average person, doesn't deal with the headaches or just the perceived struggles that the media or social media specifically would want you to believe. But, let us know in the comments. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Yeah. Okay. So what are your thoughts though on like, what does,
on what?
On, well, I guess the idea of a benevolent patriarchy and equality, like, do those things, I mean, you kind of touched on that a little bit, like the conflation between the two.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if I have anything more to say, but like the way you spelled it out with the like rights, responsibilities, like that part, whatever you just said, I might have to rewind and listen because it's still all computer, but that like really stuck out to me. I was like, oh wow, yes. Like I feel like I'm seeing that happen.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things you don't like, because women are fighting for equality, you also don't think about what comes with equality. Yeah. I think we talked about it on the previous episode. Like when you're focusing on the destination, you don't think about all the things that come with when you get there. And even something like the draft. Like if we were to go to war and shoot, the way things are, who knows what could happen. But like if we were to go to war and with equality, that means women could get drafted too. And I imagine there's majority of women will be like, no, thanks. And that's like, you're seeing a lot of women, and that's mostly in conservative spaces, talking about like, women shouldn't have the right to vote anymore. Like you're seeing women say those things, and it's it's because they're feeling like the responsibilities that come with the rights that they're starting to get. They're like, we were fine, going back and just staying in the kitchen. And again, that's an extreme, but just again, you're also you got to think about the total package. And yeah, I think we're at a point in society where people are actually really thinking about the totality of what equality looks like. Yeah, how do you feel about being drafted?
No, I'm not going. No one wants me to go either. No one wants me there. No. But this is what I'm like, I really am going back to this idea of honoring differences.
Yeah.
Because I think this fight for equality, a lot of it is based off of like real hurt, like real things that have happened to people, to generations.
I mean, real harm has been done.
Yes. But that is like the basis for the decision. It's almost like clouding everything. Even though that hurt is valid, it's just painting a picture that potentially isn't what is best for the situation or the outcome. I feel like if you honor differences, going back to what I was saying before, you can look at a situation, what it calls for, and then be able to say, oh, this person's stronger in this area. Like going to war.
Yeah.
Men are traditionally stronger. Not all. Maybe there's some women out there that would want to. That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't feel like I'm stronger or bigger than most, whatever. So yeah, I feel like looking at the situation, what is called for, but maybe like there is parts of war that women, because not all women are the same, but like women's strengths would be beneficial.
Yeah. I mean, well, even like
winning
the
war.
Was that World War I or was it World War II? I forget. I'm not a huge history buff, but like when the men were at war, women went into the factories to help to build the ammunition, help build stuff. Like that's where you get the what is it? I forget what the chick it is. The girl who's got the pose and got the bandana.
Oh yeah. I don't know how that is.
But that came from women stepping outside of the role of the nurturer.
Rosie the Riveter,
thank you. So yeah, women stepped outside of their normal role that we boxed them into and show that they could be more than just like, oh, a little bit helpful, but like helped us win a war, because like we needed all hands on deck. But again, it wasn't even sending women into active combat. And again, there will be women who actually excel in active combat. Shout out to G.I. Jane, one of my favorite movies. Yeah, that's not every woman. And again, honoring differences and understanding some people will have strengths in certain areas, and that, all that DEI talk, but
okay, now I'm thinking about presidency, which is, we're going far off, but we'll make our way back. But like, if you even think about the presidency, like, I think that's an area of like gender roles are coming into play, because, in the grand scheme of history, there's always been a male president in our country. And I think, and I think that's what people view as a strong president is a male.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people with biases that even see a woman running. They're not even going to look at her qualifications or anything. They just see it and be like, no, automatic no. But I think what would make a smarter thing is to look at like what is needed in our country currently as a leader, as a president, and then look at the candidates and be like, do they have said things? But even what people look at as what we are needed for a president, people are not changing on what they believe based on the current climate. They're like taking an old version of, okay, this is what a president is, and pasting it in 2025. That may need to change. What we actually need But a lot of people are really struggling to even do that or be open to doing that, to shifting and changing, and then seeing that, okay, somebody else than what I'm used to could be a good president or leader in this case.
Yeah. And even like, because like you would think off the top, like, oh, it's mainly men who wouldn't vote for a female president, but it's a lot of women.
Yeah.
Even back against Hillary versus Trump. I forget what the percentage was. They had the Women's March like right after she lost, but statistically, it was like 50% of those women who were marching didn't vote for her. Like they voted for Trump, so it's like.
Yeah, so this is not just men, it's
everybody. I mean, like I remember seeing so many women going on the news and be like, no, I wouldn't vote for a woman to be president. And it's because, like you said, that idea of well, this is what a president is and this is what a president looks like. I mean, how many other countries, have had female presidents and their country didn't fall to pieces, so.
Exactly.
But
I guess that leads us to our last question.
Should relationship roles be based more on personality type and individual strengths rather than gender?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I think so. I think this goes back to knowing yourself, knowing who you are, knowing what your strengths are, and knowing that to its purest, most genuine form of, who you are, who you've created to be, and finding healing too, because sometimes a lot of our personality can be dampened or shifted or changes based on different things we've gone through, trauma or whatever. But really getting to know who you are and then having that be the thing that leads where you lead. It leads how you show up and the strengths that you show up in the relationship. And then finding someone that is your opposite, that is your balance. Not even opposite. I don't know if I love that word. Opposites. I know opposites attract and all that stuff. I don't necessarily love it, but like finding your balance, right? And that can look very gendered. I think for me, like I mentioned before, my strengths fall into a lot of what is traditionally female, but not all. So then when I'm thinking about who I'm looking for as a good match for me, it's going to be someone who falls into more traditional male, but not all, right?
Right.
And that is how I would go about finding someone who would be a good match for me. That's what I think. I do not think we can say one size fits all.
Yeah.
I think that can be super limiting. I think that can be very oppressive feeling, trapped feeling. I feel like that can be really unhealthy. I've been in situations like that before and it was terrible, so, but also not rejecting things just because it's part of the thing that's traditional. If it's you, it's you. If it's your strength, it's your strength,
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I think it will depend a lot on personality and again, individual strengths. Everybody's built a little bit different. Again, by and large, most men are most men and most women are most women, but you will have people who have different strengths, and it'd be a shame to like waste someone's strengths just because they don't fit in the box that we, want to put them in. So, as humans, we love labels. We love definition. We love a thing to
people
be a thing.
People feel safe.
Yeah,
but that's not real.
It's not
reality.
It's not reality. And it,
we got to do better.
As a society, we do need to do better. I mean, but it ain't easy out here. Not in this current United States. It's not the easiest. But no answers.
No perfection.
Just two sides of the same couch. One conversation at a time. This was well, you were nervous about this episode.
I was nervous, but I think it went well.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
We'll see if we'll cancel in
Hopefully
the
not.
morning.
Yeah, we're not canceled. Love y'all.
Peace.
See ya.